Hello, sweet souls. It's DTO. Welcome to my podcast where I interview healers, global leaders, and truly people that are all about joy. And today I have Dr. Cory Szybala, and we are talking about the Sun Valley Joy Summit that will be taking place in June. And amazing soul Hillary Anderson is the one that is guiding, gathering, and magnetizing all these extraordinary, talented people that have so many different zones of genius. All right. So today we're doing a 5Q interview. Thanks for being on the show, Cory.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right. We're going to kick it off with question number one. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you'll be sharing at the Sun Valley Joy Summit.
Great. Yeah. I am Cory Szybala. I am a naturopathic physician. Found that path through working in a hospital for quite a few years and then trying to decide what the next step should be. Ultimately coming to naturopathic medicine as a true integrative, functional, preventative kind of medicine approach that I thought was more reasonable. It's one of those things where when you work in medicine, in hospitals, in clinics that are more conventional, you realize that there is a lot of sick care or disease care rather than health care. And our whole objective of becoming naturopathic physicians and opening up our own clinic was to ultimately optimize health and hopefully prevent some of those potential issues so that we were not dealing with disease care. And we can actually work with people who want to become healthier and want to optimize their overall joy, health, concept of life. And that's been our goal ever since starting up our practice, what, 6 years ago now.
Wonderful. All right. Question number two. Your work highlights the connection between health and joy. So, how does vibrant well being enhance our overall happiness?
That is a great question. There is new information and research coming out between cellular and mitochondrial energy and support for overall health. What we have been assessing is over time, we've always talked about lifespan. The concept of lifespan is how long can we live? Over the past few years, approximately, I don't know, maybe 10 or so, they've now started looking more into health span, which makes quite a bit more sense. It's not about how long we live, but how healthy we can live for how long we can live that healthy. And part of that is not just physical health, but mental health. And so having that overall, well-being, meaning mind-body connection with other people, as commensal organisms, and as far as a community goes, these are the things that we're now looking at as practitioners and healthcare providers. Of it's not just a, hey, are you healthy? Do your labs look good? It's, are we living a healthy lifestyle that is going to make sure that our health span is actually increased over a period of time rather than just living longer?
That's the first time I've heard that terminology, health span, and it just totally clicks with me. It's like, yeah,
It,
quality of life.
it's pretty
Absolutely.
cool to actually like change that concept of longevity because longevity is cool, but health span means that you're living the most fulfilled life. And there's
Mm,
something really beautiful about that.
absolutely. Love that. All right. Question number three. What are some key physical, mental, and emotional benefits of prioritizing health in our daily lives?
Yeah, so I think, the physical aspect is pretty easy. Being able to do and recreate the way that we want to. We live up in the mountains here, so being able to ski, snowboard, being able to go mountain biking or road biking or hiking, there's a lot to that. And then when you add that in, so if we ever go through a period of life, which I believe most of us have one way or another, whether it's acute or chronic, have not been able to maintain some level of physical endurance, then our mental health will ultimately become affected. And there's been enough studies now to look at just getting outside alone, sitting underneath a tree can actually do so much for your mental health. But being able to exercise means that you're actually going to increase that good energy inside of your body and let those cellular functions work way better. And so when you improve that, then we see the physical, the mental, and with that, we see emotional because whenever we're able to go out and do things, we're able to go out and do things with hopefully people. And it turns out being by ourselves can be extremely beneficial, but being able to communicate and have that community feel and approach is actually something that we learned in great deal over the last 4 or 5 years, and how much that actually does affect both our physical, mental, and emotional. So being able to prioritize all of that is something that we consider with every single one of our patients. We don't just look at one thing being the key ingredient. It's all of this stuff working together purely to make ourselves have better habits and better daily kind of like routines and better relationships, which are all key to being a healthy, well-being at this point.
I love that. As I was sharing with you in the green room here, our beautiful wellness and retreat center at Embody Costa Rica, the community energy has really been transformative for many people. A lot of people share that they have healing, they have a sense of creativity and connection. And, especially where we're living in times where people feel disconnected or they feel chaos, and to feel that sense of order and connectivity to their own selves and their future and their destiny, and then knowing that there's community members that have their back and that are wanting to play and have fun. Like this morning, we just did an aerial yoga class on our patio, and just so many smiles and laughs and connection. And guess what? There's people from all over the world that come to Costa Rica and come to our retreat center. And so it was such a beautiful culmination of what you just described. Of it's not we're multidimensional beings, and so when we have the physical, the mental, the emotional, and I feel that all comes together. And then we all those this primordial part of us, like for survival reasons, we need to be a part of a family and connectivity, right? The human family. And so that's super important. So
Yeah,
question number
it's so
4.
key.
Um, can you share a few practical strategies, anyone that's listening now on the podcast, for cultivating wellness and embracing a lifestyle that nurtures both the body and mind? Some practical strategies.
Yeah, I think this starts with really first thing is understanding yourself and your needs. And so oftentimes what we'll do is we'll chat with our patients and discover what goals are for an individual. We often can become complacent or lose track of goals due to life, due to partners, due to kids, due to all of the things that happen around us. And so rediscovering what we're really looking for so that way we can actually then set goals and achieve them over a period of time is our first step. Secondarily, it's going to become how do we develop a healthy habitual routine that we can do on a daily basis? It's easy to say we're going to do things, but it's really difficult to set that into motion and say, hey, I'm going to continue this. And this is something, we deal with ourselves all the time. And it's just one of those things where once you have someone who you can work with and discover and be held accountable is really really beneficial to basically cultivate that overall wellness. And then the third one is usually, can we develop a community? Can we create more people who have a shared goal or interest to then talk to one another and be able to really shine in those segments. I think just like what you were talking about, Dave, where you're able to have these people who come together, they have a shared goal and interest. It's beautiful to be able to watch people who can take on something together when there's so much activity and excitement and just, they're ready. They're ready for it. And it's a beautiful thing. So those are probably three of them. I know they're not easy, but they are some basic things where we start as far as foundational medicine goes with most of our patients.
We sometimes use a term called accountability buddies. So it's accountability buddy. You add it, squash it together, the term. Like, hey, where's your accountability buddy? Especially if we're doing an excursion, we're going to a waterfall, or let's say someone's going through something emotionally, like, hey, find your accountability buddy and like check in with them. How they doing today? What's the feeling, from 0 to 10, where they're at. And it's really important because a lot of us don't know how to communicate with our voice. And sometimes it's just coming up and saying, I need a hug, or just like doing the gesture, like, oh, just hug me. Right. And just getting that sense of, oh, we're all in this together. We're here. And, that does wonders for our stress levels. Sometimes we just peak out on all these, ways of just fearing things that probably, in the where they say 99% of the things we fear about never ever happen. But the journey of being a human being, right? But I love
That
the fact that
concept
you're
of staying in the present versus being in the future or the past is it's
mm-hmm,
it's a time tested and it's well said. It's easier said than done, which is the unfortunate aspect of
completely. Yeah. And as Ram Dass said, be here now, like be here now,
it.
be in the present. And that's really powerful, I feel. And, that's a recommendation I share, just like along with what you're talking about in my own life, is I'm in a men's group and just checking in. Hey, how you doing, guys? What's up? Like, what's going
Mhm.
on? And I know a lot of women's circles take place. So sometimes that works as well, or, you know, multi-gender, everyone getting together and doing activities. But yeah, I feel that community piece is really powerful. And the great part for me is living in Latin America, community is like baked into the cake of the culture here. La familia. It's like when you say familia, that's just the sense of, okay,
Just
mind, body,
means so
spirit.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really powerful. And, let's face it, many people don't even know their neighbors in
Yeah.
the US. Like, I don't know my neighbor. I mean, I think the pandemic got people to kind of be equalized. Like, okay, how are we going to connect? You're growing tomatoes. Okay, I'm growing some corn here. All right, let's connect because, yeah, there's definitely moments in time where I feel, and then I feel all that unity that did happen in certain parts of the world sometimes just got torn apart. So I definitely recognize, and
Well, and
even
that's
me being in
yeah.
this small town in Costa Rica, like I find incredible community members. And guess what? My men's group is on Zoom. I haven't even met some of the men in person because one's in Europe, the other one's in Canada. But there's this interlocking moment of, okay, we got each other. And so I feel like going back to the question about the strategies and the action items to cultivate wellness, I feel like there's opportunities for all of us. And, not to talk the grim dark side, but it is true. Suicide rates are at all-time highs globally. So, like, how do we get to a place as a society where none of us want to check out, where we're like, we're here, we understand our purpose in life, and yeah, that's a challenging one, right?
But I think a lot of that comes from, it's much easier than it ever has been to silo yourself off or wall yourself off because we can find whatever, information we want to from our friends who are in a TV show or on a social media aspect. And we forget that, human experience and touch is a far greater experience in life than we have ever really imagined. And so being able to kind of take on some of those, I mean, like you said, I mean, it's just one of those things where the pandemic either allowed people to communicate with each other or siloed off even further. And so,
Yep.
I think that's where we're at now. And we have a 3-year-old. So, being able to see a young kiddo and see this next step of what community looks like is pretty extraordinary. And,
Mm-hmm.
trying to appeal to that and say, hey, there's things that we can do, but getting them, set up with teams, getting them set up with good people, getting them set up in a community that's going to work for them. It's very similar to, you find a group that works for you. And half the time, if you can find that group, your life will become better. Like you don't even need
Mm-hmm.
to worry about everything else because you can't help but be present because you're doing something that brings you joy,
Mm-hmm.
which then health then comes from that, right? Like if you're in a
Mm-hmm.
place where like you are not happy, it's gonna be really difficult to be healthy.
Absolutely. And that's the whole point of the Sun Valley Joy Summit, as you mentioned, is like, how do we
Yeah.
find joy and to come together and to, be in that like village type of setting? And what's the old saying? Um, like even if I've never met you personally, if you introduce me to your five closest friends and family members, I'll probably get a general idea of who you are because, you know, you are the community that you attract and vice versa. So if I meet all your friends and they're just like all into natural medicine and health and wellness and a lifespan that is actually a health span. I'd be like, oh, you've been hanging out with Dr. Cory. Okay, I got you.
It's like,
Yeah.
I think we can hang out. I think we got some
Yeah.
things to chat
You
about, which is
passed the
always fun.
test. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I love that. All right. Question number 5 is, where can people connect with you and continue their journey towards a vibrant, healthy, and joyful life?
Oh yeah. So we're up here in Ketchum, Idaho. My wife and I have a clinic together up here. It's called the Sun Valley Natural Medicine Clinic, and we set it up 6 years ago. My wife is from this valley, and so we wanted to give back to the community and be part of the health conscious being and mindset of the local community here. We do have a website, www.svnaturalmedicine.com. You can always meet up with us there. We do telemedicine for folks that are not in Idaho, and we'd always be happy to work with folks across the nation. And, it's just one of those things where we like to be an additional resource for folks who may have a conventional kind of doctor lifestyle or relationship. And whenever we can come in to say, hey, we can look at this through a more integrative or functional lens, and be able to, ultimately provide additional insight into that well-being of what does diet and nutrition look like? What does, the potential of using supplements, or hey, if I bought a bunch, like what do I do then? And then coming down to the aspect of like, what is a good lifestyle for you? And what other things can we think about or do or optimize? And that's always our goal with everybody is if we can optimize you feeling the best you, health will follow.
Mm,
Your mental health will follow, your emotional health will follow, your physical health will follow. And we see it over and over again, where if we can fix a physical thing, or if we can fix a mental thing, or if we can fix an emotional thing to a degree, then we're going to be able to get you back to a place where you can get back on track again.
mm. Love that. And I'm sharing your website right now,
Oh, great.
svnaturalmedicine.com, so people can see all the different options they have. And of course, I love that you have the ability for anyone at any time to schedule and hop on with you and see what kind of lifestyle goals they have and understand for the both of you what it is that you each offer. And I'm sure you collectively also work with clients and people as well that come in, patients that are wanting to, yeah, upgrade their lives. And a lot of us, let's just face it, like unless we have something quote unquote wrong with us, then that inspires us to do something. I actually encourage everyone that's listening is preventatively reach out to Dr. Molly and Cory and book a call and just have a conversation about your life and where you're at and some goals and your health span, because that's important, the quality of life. um, Lots of fantastic wisdom you've shared on the podcast, and I encourage everyone prior to the Sun Valley Joy Summit, as well as during the Sun Valley Joy Summit, you can see how to get access to these incredible doctors, healers. And I know that it's in your heart to really support people in their journey. And I appreciate you being here to talk more about it and for people to understand who you are in the world. And of course, your workshop at the Sun Valley Joy Summit. There's so many incredible people, as I mentioned earlier, that are going to be a part of this summit. And I'm going to share with people here what the lineup is of, wow, presenters. So here we go. You're kicking it off. You ready for this? You're the opener.
I- I've been kicking it off for the past, gosh, 3 years now, and that's I'm okay with it. It's purely based off the fact that, I look at each person as being an individual. So I go to these classes, these sessions with something in mind, but we usually just end up doing Q&As and really kind of if we can discover what people really want to learn and know, I think, if you can make something a little bit more important about what someone really wants to hear, it can mean that much more and be able to provide that insight, especially with the things that we talked about today. Every
Mm-hmm.
single person that follows in this Joy Summit is going to hit every single aspect of physical, mental, emotional health. And it's beautiful to be able to see that.
Amazing. Yeah. So your workshop is called Health is Pure Joy. I agree.
It's,
Yes.
it's something that I think we all aspire to, but it's not always that easy to get to. But once we get there, boy, you can't, you're like, oh yeah, I found it. This is amazing. I want that again.
Hmm. Yes, as the old adage, right? Your health is your wealth. And the more that we can be in that flow state of being together and connected to our own bodies. And then, of course, paying it forward as you're doing to be a speaker at this beautiful summit. And, it's Wednesday, Sunday, June 11th through the 15th. And you can see all these amazing speakers, presenters. And if everyone goes to the presenters, you'll see Dr. Cory at the very top, extraordinaire, and practical strategies for cultivating wellness and embracing a lifestyle that nurtures both body and mind. Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Cory, for being here on the podcast and for supporting people. And looking forward to discovering more on your website, as well as, hey, I might schedule a call as well. Never know. Of course, I will.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's so nice to chat with you today.
Yes. Thank you so much. All right. Keep on enjoying your day.